This is the top 5 best loadouts in Warzone right now. I know you guys are going to absolutely love these class ups. They're all easy to use, and I'm actually going to give you 2 alternatives for 2 different classes. The first thing we're going to start out with is the HRM9. This is going to be the first class I'm going to give you guys 2 alternatives with. First one is going to be silence, and the second one's going to be unsilenced. I think you guys are going to like the silence more, honestly. Before we get into that, guys, I'm live on Kick. I've been streaming it a whole lot, and if you guys have time, I would greatly appreciate if you guys come through. We just hit 150 followers, so if we could hit 200, that'd be amazing. For the HRM, we start out with the Sonic Suppressor S for being undetectable by the radar, bullet velocity, and damage range. You do lose some aim walking steadiness, sprint to fire speed, and recoil control, but this is the best possible choice. Trust me, this setup is going to be amazing. Next, put on the DR6 hand stop for aim walking speed, aim down sight speed, sprint to fire speed, and movement speed at the cost of hip fire attack stance spread and aim walking steadiness. Put on the 50 round drum because this is the best possible choice. I can't think of a better one for you guys to possibly use, considering the alternative is 20 or 30 as the base. Put on the PCS 90 assault grip for gun kick control 2 times and recoil control at the cost of aiming auto sway and aim down sight speed, which is not a big deal. We already took care of that. Last but not least, we put on the folding stock for recoil control, gun kick control, and firing aim stability at the cost of aim down sight speed. And this thing is an absolute tank at close and medium range. Now, I'll be honest with you guys can actually use this at long range too, but it's a little riskier just because there's a little bit of an interesting recoil pattern. I would just stick to the short to medium range. But here is the entire class setup for HRM9. Make sure you guys take a picture, screenshot, whatever you guys have to do. Now, the people that actually like the OG HRM9, instead of the muzzle being the Sonic Suppressor S, you just take it off and put on the Zemin 35 compensated for shorter radar pings, vertical recoil, horizontal recoil, and firing aim stability at the cost of bullet velocity and aim down sight speed. Take off the PCS 90 assault grip and instead go over to the barrel and put on the Thorn 90 barrel for hip fire and attack stance spread, aim down sight speed, sprint to fire speed, and sprint speed at the cost of aiming out sway and recoil control. This thing, in my opinion, is absolutely amazing still. It does get the job done very easily. My only downside is you do lose some bullet velocity, which I'm not really a huge fan of. Now, if you think you can handle this regardless, then be my guest and use it. I think it's still really good. It's just that I feel like with the silence build, you get all the benefits of the Zemin 35 compensated, except you're not losing bullet velocity. This is something that you definitely have to weigh your options on, but here is the entire HRM9 class if you guys want to try it out for yourselves. Next is the Ram 7, and this is still the best assault rifle in the game right now. Throwing the Cassis brake for horizontal recoil and firing aim stability. You do lose some aim down sight speed, but that's not a big deal. Throwing the Cronin Headwind long barrel for bullet velocity and range, aiming out and sway and firing aim stability at the cost of hip fire and attack stance spread, aim walking speed, and sprint to fire speed. None of these things that matter for an assault rifle. Ruin heavy support grip for gun kick control, aiming out, sway, horizontal recoil, and firing aim stability at the cost of vertical recoil and aim down sight speed. 60 round drum is the best possible choice for this weapon. And last but not least, the HVS 3.4 pad for gun kick control and recoil control at the cost of sprint speed and sprint to fire speed. As you guys see, it just takes no effort to actually use this weapon. It's insanely broken and incredibly easy to use. So you guys have to have this in your arsenal. Please give it a try because you guys just see how effective it is at every single range. In fact, I would even argue to say that it's probably even effective at super close range as long as you hit all your shots. But here is the class setup right here. Make sure you guys take a picture, screenshot. All right, so hear me out on the Ram 9. Now, this is not the regular Ram 9, but this build right here will make it so you don't lose any bullet velocity and it'll still kill incredibly quick with no recoil. So the first thing you want to put on is the F-Tac Castle Comp for horizontal recoil, gun kick control, and vertical recoil at the cost of aim down sight speed and aiming idle sway. Now, this is way different than people typically go with. A lot of people like to go with the Zemin 35, and I don't really blame them. I also see people going with the Sonic Suppressor S, but this doesn't help with recoil control. So if you want to go with silence, then Sonic Suppressor S is for you, but you're not going to get that recoil control. If you want to use the Zemin 35, then you're going to get a lot of recoil control, but just check this out. You're losing 5% bullet velocity, and it doesn't seem that important until you realize just how significant a 5% drop really is for gunfights. Next, put on the DR6 hand stop for aim walking speed, aim down sight speed, sprint to fire speed, and movement speed at the cost of hip fire and attack stance spread and aim walking steadiness. Put on the 50 round mag. Now, you can use this or you can use the 40, completely up to you, whichever one you want to use. Just know that, I mean, the cons they're a little bit different. I mean, they are significant, but it's whatever one you want to use. If you want 10 extra bullets at the cost of a 10% reduction of aim down sight speed instead of 5%, to be my guest. I mean, on the handling, it's basically double for each of them, but For sprint speed, I mean, it's 2 versus 3. I mean, it's completely up to you whichever one you use. Retort 90 grip tape for firing, aim stability, gun kick control, and recoil control at the cost of aiming, idle, sway. And last but not least, the HVS 3.4 pad for gun kick control, aiming, idle, sway, firing, aim stability, and recoil control at the cost of movement speed, sprint speed, aim walking speed, and sprint to fire speed. Now, with everything I listed, you would think that this thing is not insane, but look at this. Like, this actually gets the job done really easily, and you don't have to sacrifice any bullet velocity. You're still basically getting the ADS at the same speed, except now it's a much stronger SMG. I still don't recommend long range just because I don't think that you're going to win it. I mean, you might be able to win it after you spray all your bullets like I did, but I recommend keeping it short to medium range and getting the job done with that. So here is the entire class setup for the Ram 9. Please use this because I think you guys are going to absolutely love it. Next is the Wasp 9. Now, I absolutely love this SMG, and it is a fantastic hybrid that I highly recommend to anybody that tries it. Throw on the Zemin 35 compensated flash hider for the shorter radar pings, vertical recoil, horizontal recoil, and firing aim stability at the cost of aim down sight speed and some bullet velocity. Now, the reason I'm not worried for the bullet velocity for this weapon is because it already has high bullet velocity, but I'm also going to take care of it anyway. But on the DR6 hand stop for aim walking speed, aim down sight speed, sprint to fire speed, and movement speed at the cost of hip fire attack stand spread and aim walking steadiness. Put on the 9mm high grain rounds for bullet velocity and damage range at the cost of some recoil control. Now, the reason I don't care about the recoil control is because this recoil pattern is very interesting. I feel like no matter what you really do with this, I mean, it's going to be pretty well controlled or pretty consistent overall. Put on the 40 round mag unless you think you can handle the 50. It's just the cons are pretty high, pretty significant overall. I think that the 40 is more than enough. If you want to use 50, feel free. Last but not least, I chose a Niter model 2023. This is my personal preference. If you just want to use the iron sights, go ahead. I like using the optic. It feels easier for me. This weapon is absolutely amazing at short to medium range. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I would say it's amazing at long range as well, but the downside to long range is the recoil pattern for long range is kind of inconsistent. So that's why I'm kind of scared to say, like, feel free to use long range. I would recommend just keeping it short to medium range, and if you really have to use it long range, then make sure you have plenty of cover, because you guys saw how many bullets it took me to actually get the kill, and I just don't want you guys to be in a bad situation. So here's the entire class setup for the Wasp 9. Please use this. I think you guys will do exceptionally well with it. The last weapon I have to show you guys is the SOA Subverter. It is so easy to use and one of my favorite weapons overall, especially if you don't want to use the Ram 7. Throw on the Cassis Break L for horizontal recoil and firing aim stability at the cost of aim down sight speed. Now, if you don't want to use this, I actually do have an alternative for you guys. We're going to go all the way to the front, and we're going to put on the VT7 Spirit Fire Suppressor L. This helps with being undetectable by the radar, recoil control, bullet velocity, and damage range at the cost of aim down sight speed, aim walk and steadiness, and sprint to fire speed. Now, if you want to stay off the map, VT7 Spirit Fire Suppressor. If you want low recoil, then you can use the Cassis. I still think that it has very low recoil even with the VT7 Spirit Fire Suppressor, so it's really just your preference. Put on the Dozer 90 long barrel for bullet velocity and range, firing aim stability, gun kick control, and recoil control at the cost of aim walking speed, sprint to fire speed, aim walking steadiness, and aim down sight speed. Put on the Brune heavy support grip for gun kick control, aiming out of sway, horizontal recoil, and firing aim stability at the cost of vertical recoil and aim down sight speed. 50 round drum, I mean, this is just my personal preference. I don't really see any case where you would actually want to use a 30 round mag, but if you want to, be my guest. And last but not least, the Motion V2 heavy stock for gun kick control and recoil control at the cost of aim down sight speed and sprint to fire speed. This weapon is ridiculously easy to use. It's absurd how easy this weapon is. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. It's probably one of the lowest recoil weapons in the game right now. So if you guys want a very easy weapon that'll get the job done, knock people off head glitches, handle them long range, this is definitely the go-to for you. And here's the entire class setup that I mentioned earlier. But if you guys also wanted to see the VT7 Spirit Fire Suppressor, like I said, the VT7 Spirit Fire Suppressor is actually pretty amazing. Keeps you off the radar, and as you guys see, super low recoil. So if you just wanted to, stay off the map, then this is definitely the one for you. Like I said before, it's definitely your preference. So if you want the Cassis or the VT7 Spirit Fire Suppressor, whichever one of those you want, completely up to you. Go ahead and throw them on there.